No. What the fuck? How have I done this in the past? Like that? There we go. So I don't need any of that nonsense. Oh, the bottom is cropped a little bit. That'll help some, but not much. Where's my blue? Yeah. Let's do a little bit of that. And just drop that down beneath the window capture. I want an image down there besides just my name. I'm afraid I don't have a good one. Can always just resize Shy Guy. Come here, little buddy. Where did Samus stop? She stops over there. That's good. Woo! Well. Let's get it started, shall we? Because my very first video of this year was, of course, back when Ponk and I were still doing our JoJo sessions in Stardew Valley. A surprising amount happened this year. I had kind of forgotten that Honk and I were still playing around in Stardew at the beginning of this year. And I, of course, was the ever-immaculate trash duck. Ended up romancing the pretty blonde girl. I still think that Penny is probably my favorite love interest in this game. Penny's a good girl. And she also invites you to the bathhouse after dark. Of course, there was some Super Metroid that ended up getting played. But this is a game that I've talked about several times, which is the Game Boy version of Battle Arena Toshinden. I got to play a little bit of that again this year. Yep, because that's what it's all about right there. All the girls will come to me. Where was I? Ah, yes, this was also the year where Twitch announced their limit on how many hours worth of VODs you could have on your channel. So I took that opportunity to re-upload or upload for the first time a whole bunch of my older stuff. And one of those older things that I uploaded was a multi-part playthrough of Lagoon on the Super Nintendo. Yes, Lagoon is that game where imagine Link to the Past, except you have a butter knife instead of a full-length sword. I hadn't actually uploaded this playthrough to Twitch. This was just something I had on my hard drive. And, it is, unfortunately, an incomplete playthrough. Because I never was able to beat the final boss. Need a reverse Shy Guy bumping butts of the original. I'll see what I can do. You can see all the stupid things I've said over the years. Jesus loves humble onion. To be fair, most of the stupid stuff was said by Spazer Crab. You just prompted him. Also, this layout that I'm using for the Lagoon playthrough, the white text that I have on screen is legitimately what the Lagoon box says on the back of it as flavor text. And the first sentence is Lakeland has a drinking problem. Honestly, Lagoon is a really fun game. If you know little tips and tricks to get past some of the bosses, or you just mash like crazy, Lagoon is not a bad game. It just kind of has a goofy reputation based on the size of the main character's primary weapon. That's really it. While I'm at it, speaking of old videos that I've had to repost onto YouTube, this particular video, this Mega Man 2 casual playthrough, this is my oldest video from my streaming career, quote unquote, on career. This is the earliest example that I have of me doing live streams. I had a couple of streams before this, but I didn't understand how Twitch's VOD system worked yet. So those first 2 or 3 streams that I ever did are just lost. And this is the earliest one that I have. And even back then, I was using the Lego Snow Trooper. It is pretty rough to watch some of my older stuff because you see a lot of video stuttering. The audio was always fine, but the video stuttering was really, really noticeable because I was still using my Toshiba netbook at the time, using an EasyCap USB capture device. And that netbook is not built to do anything remotely like this. You can kind of tell. Have some of my old speed runs from like Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers and DuckTales that I had to re-upload. Again, the video stuttering is just pretty rough. But then once we got a slightly better computer, actually able to upload some good goofy multiplayer shit with myself and my brother. So I've decided to re-upload a bunch of that stuff because of Twitch's VOD policy. If that dagger was a proper short sword, it seems more bearable. Unfortunately, the sword in Lagoon is never called a short sword or a dagger or anything. It is just presented as a full-size sword. Game is proof that size matters. Yeah, dude. The sword that you get in Link to the Past is so much better suited for what that game asks you to do. Whereas in Lagoon, it is definitely part of the challenge of the game. The game is very much beatable with that tiny sword. Just don't ask me to do it. But it's super fun to listen to yourself from back then. In my real early streams, I didn't have a mic. It was legitimately when Ponk came around on a regular basis. And I was like, well, I guess I need a microphone because I'm really bad at multitasking and like taking a break from playing a game to type something, to interact. I felt that it was going to be easier to just get a microphone. Listen to myself, that sounds painful. I have to listen to myself a little bit in the modern day when it comes to making Twitch highlights and editing VODs and all of that. It's not terrible. If I had a better microphone, I'd find myself easier to listen to. But I have like a $40 or $50 headset. And when my brother and I would do multiplayer like this, I'd have the blue snowball mic, the Yeti blue snowball mic set up between us. So both of our voices would be not as clear as they could have been. But especially when we were doing stuff like this, like Duck Game, I figured what we were saying wasn't necessarily the most important part. A lot of this stuff that you're seeing published on February 19th, 20th, 21st, a lot of this stuff is just old VODs that I have put onto YouTube because of Twitch's changes to the VOD policy. So a lot of these videos real early on are not actually things that I actively played during the year, but it does tell enough of a story because I remember I was extremely panicked when I heard about Twitch's VOD policy because I have 10 years plus of VODs that I would need to go through and back check on YouTube to see what needed to be exported. And I ended up doing most of that across the course of just a couple of days because I thought that the date of enforcement on that policy was a lot sooner than it actually was. So I stayed up well into the morning on a couple of days just trying to get that stuff done. Still fun to go through a lot of this stuff, though. Good old Final Vendetta here. This quickly shot up into my top 5 favorite arcade-style beat-em-ups of all time. But I was still using the character named Duke instead of the female character. So you can tell it's my very first playthrough. Because I don't think I've played as Duke since I figured out how to juggle enemies with the female character. Ah, yes. One of the last times I played Fallout 3. Because my computer really does not like running this game. Even though, once again, even though I had my fun with Fallout 3, Oblivion, and Fallout New Vegas, I still view those games as trying to do way too much with the technology they had at hand. The phrase I often use is punching above their weight class. And those 3 games in particular, along with a handful of others, have just not aged well. And I'd say it's not their fault, but it is entirely their fault. This was another one of my older VODs. I think this is Umaneko When They Cry, Part 1. But a cat wouldn't be setting traps. Not any cat that you've ever had, apparently. I'm still in a part of my VOD history from this year where I'm not sure if this is older footage that I had to export over to Twitch or over to YouTube because of the VOD policy, or if this was something new. I'm assuming from the layout that this is an older VOD of mine, because I have not recreated this layout yet. A lot of Super Metroid, a lot of Stardew Valley. Now we're getting to some newer stuff. This is from when Ponk and I played Chained Together earlier this year. We did 1 session of this, and I think that was enough. It's a hell of a concept, but I don't know if either one of us wants to come back to this. I think it was a fun, momentary diversion after we had gotten done with Stardew. Ah, yes. This was another old VOD where I was playing two instances of the Pokemon randomizer at the same time. And I had the black chroma keyed out. It's always a fun way to play. You see all those goofy colors happening in the background. Yeah, that was the that Castlevania layout was the one I used for Aria of Sorrow when I had my old PC. Yes. This is one input for two games. I am actively playing Pokemon Red and Blue randomized right here. But again, this is all still like old stuff that I was exporting to YouTube because of the VOD policy. I'm still in that time period where that's what a lot of this stuff was. And then, of course, Ponk and I played through Lego Pirates of the Caribbean, which was my very first time playing Lego Pirates of the Caribbean. It was the first time in years and years that I got to experience the story of those movies again. Oh yeah, this is an old one. I can personally tell just from looking at my layout that this is an old VOD. I was still using just flat colors for my window outlines. I had just a flat image as the background. The layout, like the basic idea of my layout, hasn't changed that much over the years. But I'm glad that I have settled on the layout that I currently use for race night and all of that. But you can kind of see the roots of it here. And that, of course, was the Chrono Trigger Devolution ROM hack. Oh, and here's a game. This was my brother and I playing through a game called Enemy Mind. It's a really kind of different shoot 'em up because you have the ability to possess enemy units. And you can switch the unit that you're controlling, going from ship to ship. It's a really neat mechanic, and it's a shoot 'em up that's not too terribly difficult, but you just have to plan your you have to plan out like what ships you jump your consciousness into. So it's a neat mechanic to add on top of a horizontal shmup. And some Thief Town. Dude, Thief Town is such a good multiplayer game. I imagine this would be an amazing game to play with like 3 other people instead of with just one other person. Gross layout. This must have been before I followed with the yellow borders. Yeah, I was still very much experimenting with what colors to use on my stream, and I quickly found out that having the yellow borders on the different windows on the layout did like hurt your eyes a little bit. Like it wasn't as nice to look at as some of my other layouts have been. And yeah, dude, you've been following my channel for a very long time. And if you want to go head first into the fucking Wayback Machine here, this was my original idea for a layout. Have the matrix code dropping into the lava at the bottom with a dilapidated television sitting on top of it. This was my first like fully developed idea for a stream layout. And I do still really like it. I'm just not sure if I still have the matrix code or the lava. Not sure if I still have those. I know I still have the TV. So much of the screen is just gone. Mm-hmm. TV was used for watching old TV shows. I thought that was a nice touch. Yeah. I figured, especially since like most of the games that I was playing and streaming at the time were old console games, figured it worked pretty well. Hello, Stardew Valley music. I still have the same Wii from all these years ago. Still the same emulator menus and all of that. I may need to try to bring back this this layout. I do really like it. And then, with some streams I was still using the TV, but I'd switch up the GIF that I had in the background. Oh, this one's a little crazy. It's still the red and green color scheme. But it's just with like these lines doing crazy things on top of the matrix code. And I have also been using Poppy Bros as my opener and my closer for my streams since pretty much day one. Oh yeah, here's another classic. Not because of the layout, but because of the game I'm playing. Oh, and it's the game mode I love and everything. Is this... Which one is this? Is this Burnout 2 or is this Burnout 3? This is Burnout 3. Burnout 3 is the #1 reason why I need to get myself another original Xbox, or I need to get a backwards compatible Xbox 360. Because I really fucking miss playing this game. Burnout 3 is easily my favorite driving game. What the hell is this? Am I watching... Oh god. Oh god. I've got the 4-in-1 Mega Man TAS playing behind the television. So what, that's Mega Man 3, 4, 5, and 6? Can't imagine why I never did more of that. Oh, and this is an old Super Metroid PB. 1 hour, 1 minute, and 1 second. And the TV is in the Black Lodge from Twin Peaks. This is well before I got into the randomizer scene. And I was just doing runs with the vanilla palette. But we're getting into March and April and May with some of these uploads. And during that time, was a very interesting occurrence. I think it was in either March or May of this year was when I bought Vampire Survivors. It was good to have some other game autoplay itself behind your gameplay in case your gameplay sucks. Yep, that's what I was thinking. Didn't even cut the one. Now we're starting to get into some more modern stuff. Old Hellpoint. My sci-fi Dark Souls. It's just... I got really anxious about playing this game after that one boss fight, because I looked up someone else's video on how to fight that boss, and they're literally just running circles around him. And here I am, poking at him, prodding at him from a mile away like a big baby. But I must admit, I have really, really enjoyed playing Hellpoint. And I am definitely planning on coming back to it. I just don't have any particular point in time planned out for when I'm going to come back to it. But I know that this is one that I definitely do want to come back to. See, the thing is, the boss that was giving me so much trouble is only like the second or third boss in the entire game. I think it's the third boss in the game. And there's still like 7 or 8 other big nasty bosses after that one. So, just, there are games in my past that I have not completed, that I have done streams of, and I know that I'm never going to come back to them. But this game, I really like the aesthetic. I really like the look of the game. I like the fact that it's a sci-fi, like, it's a dark sci-fi Dark Souls. I enjoy that spin on the Dark Souls formula. Videos of people you're watching slaughter the bosses are likely not the first time they fought those bosses. Exactly. But it's also probably not the first time they've played that deeply into a Souls-like. This is, as far as I managed to get with Hellpoint, 2 or 3 bosses down, is as far as I've ever gotten in any kind of game that presents itself like this. But I definitely, because of my time with Sworn, I think I'm getting better at pattern recognition when it comes to boss fights. And I think that was kind of a big step that I took this year. Between Hellpoint and Sworn, I think my pattern recognition for boss fights is definitely getting better. Also, the other thing is playing Hellpoint puts me on edge like crazy. Where I am looking around every fucking corner and I am just like, I am an absolute frayed nerve by the time I'm done with like a 2-hour session. So it's just kind of like being at that kind of an extreme is not something I always feel like doing. And since I can't get enough of the glitch in Dragon View, I had a couple videos from this year where I just isolated the stupidity that I was able to create in this game. Zip forward to the attempt where I actually got it to do the thing here. Blip, blop, bloop. The second time that I managed to spawn a merchant during this glitch. I might be the person that has done this glitch the most number of times outside of a tool-assisted speedrun setting. Granted, I do have save states, and that is partially a tool-assisted demonstration of the glitch. But usually the people that are doing tasks of Dragon View to get this glitch are doing like resets and re-records much more frequently than I am. Or they're, you know, watching the RAM. And then, of course, in the case of PJ DeCaesar, he was doing these glitch attempts on console. And he was planning on doing it for an entire week. Oh, I've got to play this one. My one fight against the Celestial Beast where he sends himself out of bounds. I don't know how I would have beaten this boss otherwise. But there he goes. He just flew through the fucking wall. And then when Ponk and I played Yoshi's Island, and I think I stumbled upon, yup, touch fuzzy, get dizzy. Yoshi baby. Fantastic little video game, but unfortunately Ponk had some issues right near the end of our time together. And like his save files like got corrupted or something. Vanquished. I don't know about expert dodging. I think I was just standing really close to the wall, and the boss just took a giant jump towards me and ended up missing as hard as possible. And here, we finally get it. Not my first playthroughs of Vampire Survivors, and I think I might have played this a little bit during like race night intermissions. But my first time like diving into this game really hard with Ponk, I ended up getting like hundreds, well, at least over 100 Steam achievements just from Vampire Survivors this year. And yeah, the bitrate's already going to shit. And it's just enemies on screen. Kind of a variation on my lava matrix background. And this was another random playthrough of Straight Baseball Life. It's a delightful little video game that I haven't played in far too long. Will he drink the milk or will he eat the bottle? And I will play rock, paper, scissors against the sun and lose multiple times. It's because I keep going scissors. I fell in a mud puddle. Yeah, Straight Baseball Life is a really fun game, even if you're just playing it yourself. Oh, here's another variation on the background with yellow matrix text and blue lava. I mean, I was still finding old VODs to upload onto YouTube for quite a while. This being one of them, Crow Tell. delightful little video game in which you play as a crow that owns a rundown hotel. And you have to go through and kick that hotel's ass. What is going on with this background? Okay, it's a static background, but it is very colorful. I'm playing Pokemon Rumble. When I start playing Pokemon Rumble, that's when people start leaving. Another instance of me messing around with the colors on my layout because I hadn't gotten stuff figured out yet. Also, I get stuck in a door. Oh, I got stuck in a door! A lot of this is still, even into August, a lot of this is still old VODs. Lord of the Rings, the Third Age. The turn-based RPG set just a couple of steps back from behind the Fellowship in the films. Like, you play as a group of heroes that is, like, hot on their trail. So you're going through all the same shit that the Fellowship went through in the movies. You're just not hobbits and slightly more capable of handling yourself. But not in this version of the game. I am playing on evil mode in this, in which you are playing as the forces of evil, and you have to defeat the heroes in all these different battles. Also, there's a picture of Macho Man Randy Savage on the right. It was a playthrough of Lord of the Rings Third Age that I got a big bad not copyright strike, but I got blocked in basically every viewing territory for YouTube because of my VOD of Lord of the Rings Third Age, because it flagged a part of the gameplay as part of the movie, which was so confusing to me because this game features cutscenes that are lifted directly from the movies, and none of those were the things that got flagged. It was like me running around in Helm's Deep. For some odd reason, got a copyright flag. Yet another old VOD here. Myself messing around with Kerbal Space Program, which I have not played Kerbal in so fucking long. I like the Metroid munching on the TV. Yeah, I like that touch. I might have to bring that back. Move him off of Fantoon's head and put him somewhere. I don't know. Hungry for a Slim Jim for some reason. Dude, my gas station that is just up the street from where I live has this fucking awesome plastic Slim Jim display that's like a torso up, like miniature sculpture of Randy Savage. And he's on this, it's like kind of plastered onto this container where you store the Slim Jims. I'm like, dude, where do you have to go in order to find something like that? That is so cool. It was something that I mentioned to Ponk when we touched on the subject for a hot second, but one of my favorite wrestlers of all time is Randy Savage. He was great in the ring. He had an iconic voice. He was one of the more engaging and interesting talkers in wrestling, so it wasn't just like what he was saying, but the voice that he was using to say all that stuff was also interesting. It's just a goddamn shame that for his entire career, he basically had to play second fiddle to Hulk Hogan. Last off! I need to try my hand at Kerbal Space Program again. But they made some update along the line with Kerbal Space Program, and things just started working differently. That's the best way I can really explain it. The one thing that I was never able to really do in Kerbal was to set up stuff in orbit around the home planet and then do docking procedures and then use the thing that was already up in orbit to give me additional fuel and energy in order to get all the way out to like the outer planets of the system. Going back and forth from the moon was relatively easy. Oh, baby. My old Tiger Woods PGA Tour 10 disc golf session. Featuring the best disc golf I have ever played in my life, in-game and IRL. Whee! When I actually used to play casual IRL disc golf, I figured out how to do a rolling shot, basically, where you release the disc down towards the ground, but the disc is vertical. So it'll hit the ground, but it'll roll for a long, long time. And once I figured out how to do that, I just messed around with that way too much instead of actually trying to get good. Oh, yes. Yes. My old XSplit bad TV layout. I really considered going with this as a permanent layout as well. I am not gonna lie. The Super Nintendo with the cartridge of Super Metroid just duct taped onto it. And then all like the handwritten text on the screen. Oh man. I love this layout. It is so goofy. I'm pretty sure I still remember how to actually get my game feed to tilt like that in OBS. I just think it's a slightly more complicated procedure than it was in XSplit. And well, it's here. I've got to click on it. One of the few VODs that I still have on my Twitch channel. Is me playing my own RPG Maker game. I have to find the chicken. Imagine watching that layout on a phone. Oh yeah, dude. I understand. That was one of the that was one of the reasons why I was kind of thinking about going with it. Was it's like, you're not gonna be impressed by my gameplay, but you might think that I have a funny layout. I will say this about my dumb little RPG Maker game here. I cannot believe that I had the sequel to You Have to Find the Chicken ready to go for all of these years. It just needed the tiniest bit of cleanup. I found the chicken! But the fact that I went so big so quickly with the sequel, instead of it just being 10 levels, in the sequel I made 100 maps. 100 maps of this. And for whatever reason, I just kind of forgot about it. Until earlier this year. When I randomly got the itch to just mess around with RPG Maker again. Then I see the old project and I'm just like, oh dude, this has to get released right now. So technically I have 2 games in the RPG Maker VX Ace workshop. Can't find the Wikipedia entry. The Wikipedia entry is just a blank webpage with a single line of text that says you don't have time for this. And if you click anywhere on the page, it links you directly to Goatsy. Haha. So we're actually starting to get to the tail end of things here. This is when Ponk and I did a surprise session of Portal 2 earlier this year. Let's make sure I've got that song on my favorites list. And I'm dumb and I fell off. Yeah, this was definitely the year of Vampire Survivors. I'm not so sure about this particular layout. It's too bright. But if I dim this background too much, then you don't see all of the clocks moving around in the background. But the old, I'm assuming Buster Keaton at the punch clock. It's just classic silent movie gag. Yeah, one clock in the background would be enough. Don't mess around with Portal 2 mods. Yeah, dude, Portal 2 is still a whole lot of fun. And this is the deer. No force. It's not much of a video game. It's like a walking simulator that gives you little bits of information here and there. Also, my deer is a scuba diver. Dude, I think I just need to sit back and re-watch this whole thing. It's only 4.5 minutes. My run of TTV2 that actually beat the game. I absolutely love the TTV games. It's so amazing what you can accomplish with such simple graphics. It's an absolute fantastic series of video games. And they're all just dirt cheap. And if you do die in this game, it sends you right back to the title screen, so all you have to do to reset is push a single button. The reset time on this is the push of a single button. It is so good. This is another game that really helped with pattern recognition and being able to make like big decisions in a short period of time. Split-second decision making at times. And this game is so intense. And the ever-changing music in the background of TTV2 in particular is just... it fits so perfectly. Like, TTV 3 and 4 still have a good soundtrack to them. Hell, so does TTV 1. But number 2 is the one that I like the most. I love the way that even though the music kind of feels random, like which one of the tracks that you're gonna get next, they all blend into each other so well. There it is. Such a good fucking video game. PTV2 is addicting to watch. Increased difficulty, simply the stress and anxiety you put on yourself as the score gets closer and closer. Yeah, exactly. You just become a nervous wreck at a certain point. I clicked on the pig level! This is, of course, when Ponk and I were playing Split Fiction. I really hope that whatever is going on with Split Fiction's remote play multiplayer gets figured out. I really want to get back to this game because I've been having a lot of fun with it. But Honk and I also do have a lot of other games we can play besides this one. I just would really like to get back to it. Now, from the same devs that did It Takes Two, and I really, really praised It Takes Two for having just a remarkable amount of variety in its gameplay And that's something that I really, really appreciate. If a game does one thing, but it does it really, really well, then that's great. But if a game can do as much as It Takes Two or Split Fiction can, and still be really good at everything that it's trying to do, that's fantastic. That's the mark of that's the mark of developers that really have a solid vision for what they want. And it translates really well into an incredibly fun experience. Just hope they get that fucking multiplayer figured out. And this is probably the best time to bring this up, because this might just be, hands down, the biggest thing that I did in video games in general this year. Was, even though it was off stream, managing to finally beat Final Fantasy 1 and Final Fantasy 4 was huge for me. I really felt like I needed to actually beat both of those games to really define my opinion about both games. Because I've always thought that Final Fantasy IV was a classic, a timeless classic on the Super Nintendo. But I could never get past a certain point. And then with Final Fantasy I, I always really wanted to like that game. But in a sense, I feel like FF1 is another one of those games that was really punching above its weight class on the NES. And it wasn't until the ports to the Wonderswan Color and PS1 that I think I would have actually appreciated Final Fantasy 1. Because I think the limitations of the NES just make it a bit too challenging to get into. And then, of course, the Pixel remaster just blows all of that away. And now I think of FF1 as just one of the comfiest JRPGs I can even think of. It's, as far as comfort level is concerned, it's right up there with Mystic Quest, it's right up there with FF6, it's right up there with Chrono Trigger for me. It is a fantastic game, and I'm glad that I was able to get both of those games, 1 and 4, done and dusted this year. I definitely recommend Split Fiction. It is a fantastic multiplayer game. Local multiplayer is probably the best way to do it, because I'm not exactly sure what's going on with remote play anymore. I know it's not anything that's going on Ponk's end in just regards to remote play, because we can still play other games with remote play. Just for whatever reason, Split Fiction has just decided to stop working. And I've got to throw this in for a little bit. Big thanks to Insane Firebat for gifting me a copy of, is it Retro Endurance 8-bit? He was spot on when he was telling me that this is very heavily inspired by the old WarioWare games, which I really like that. Just bite-sized snippets of multiple video games played in quick succession. Really like that about the original WarioWare. Really like that about this game. And also the fact that it's apparently being developed by the guy that made ZSNES. If I'm remembering what Firebat told me correctly. Kind of a cool thing. I might as well watch this for a little bit. Since this was a new personal best in Super Metroid that came from out of fucking nowhere. I was definitely not expecting to get a PB on the night when I got it. And it just so happened to be like one of the first times in a long time that I was using a Samus sprite. Might have something to do with it. And then Ponk and I had to dive back into Link to the Past when we couldn't get Split Fiction to work for us. Reminding me of the good old days when Link to the Past was just, that's what we played. Still a great video game. Still holds up remarkably well. Not like there was ever any question about whether or not Link to the Past still held up. Oh God, what is going on? Those colors are not supposed to be flickering like that. It's neat that they do, but they're not supposed to be doing that. That's supposed to just be like a black and white checkered pattern. But it's got crazy lights going on all around it. My Turkey Day Cocorone stream, where I went to a whole bunch of level transitions that I normally don't go to. And I was playing on emulator on the computer here, so definitely looks a lot cleaner than when I play it off of the Wii. But yeah, this year's Turkey Day Coke-a-rone is definitely an interesting one to watch. Just because I go through the levels in a completely different order than how I usually do. So you see a lot of stage layouts that usually don't show up when I play this game normally. And then Ponk and I played We Were Here. Free to play, multiplayer. Took us a little while to figure out what we were doing. Ended up having a pretty good time. Unfortunately, it was after the first session that Ponk started feeling like a really intense sensation of motion sickness. And it's unfortunate that that happened. Certainly didn't think there was enough stuff actively going on in the game to trigger that, but then again, I don't really get motion sickness, so I can't really say one way or another. And then we had Sheepy. This cute little free-to-play platformer that's, what, 2 levels long? But the levels are big, and there's a lot of stuff to collect. As far as free-to-play games are concerned, I have played a lot worse. I have spent money on games that I did not enjoy as much as I enjoyed Sheepy. And no, I'm not going to tell you what those games are. Just know that as a free-to-play game, Sheepy is one that is well worth 20 to 25 minutes of gameplay in order to get through the whole thing. And then Ponk and I playing Ib and Ob, a game that I've had in my Steam inventory for a long time, waiting for a good opportunity to hand it off to Ponk. And I'm glad that we had as much fun with it as we did. This is another game where I absolutely love the aesthetic and the look of this game, all the really clean graphics. Something I'm a real big fan of. And of course, my 10th time putting out fires on Christmas. I've kept up this goofy tradition of playing the fireman during Christmas time for 10 years. I still think that I might want to actually play this game with a bit more frequency and actually do a playthrough on the normal difficulty and not the beginner difficulty, so I can actually get the proper ending with the credits and the score screen and all of that. Also, when I was reading through the GameFAQs guide for this game, I really think this year's playthrough I managed to find all of the super water drops. Not because I did that much exploring, but because there's just not that many drops of super water. And I have a pretty good baseline knowledge of where the super water drops are. Because there is definitely one in each level, and some levels have two, and I think one level has three. But the fireman is an absolute hidden gem on the Super Nintendo. I definitely recommend it, even if it's not the Christmas season. And the last couple of things here, done just over the past day or two, diving right back into Final Fantasy VI, Beyond Chaos, EX, Kefka at Narsh. I have generated another couple of seeds, and I think I've gotten a couple of kinks worked out. I'm actually slightly unsure if I was ever able to actually replace the fight command in the battle menu, but I have definitely gotten a couple more seeds generated that have goofy ass combo attacks that fill up the rest of the spaces in the battle menu. Only thing is, seems like I might be having other issues with the character sprite randomization. I was saying during this playthrough that you can have all of your characters be Bomberman. I don't think that's the way that actually works. Depending on how many sprites are in the pool for that particular flag. Because I tried to make a ROM where all of the characters were Bomberman, and it replaced one of them. The rest of them were just shuffled Final Fantasy VI sprites. So, I just need to choose a bit more carefully, I think. Ibanob was frustrating to watch. I'd see the solution, watch you guys bounce around for 10 minutes. Yeah, we are definitely guilty of overthinking a lot of stuff in Ibanob. That became apparent to us after we saw the solution. After we managed to get the solution. Saving Christmas, the choice cut. Oh, there's a point. I could do Christmas in July. Me and my O-Give. Be interesting to see you play a full playthrough of the game. You have a lot of fun knowledge about various areas. I do. FF6 is a game that I have had since it came out, pretty much. Like 94, 95? I think it was 94. I mean, I still have my childhood copy of the game sitting in the other room. So it is one that has been with me longer than just about any other RPG. Because I've had long stretches of time where I didn't have a Chrono Trigger cart, but I always had this one. And of course, we wrap things up with Sworn. What a fantastic game. And the side effect of a game like Sworn is I have a couple other games that are very much like this one that has boss fights that are very what's the right way to phrase this? I have other games where it is extremely important to recognize boss patterns, and it's extremely important to have quick reaction speed. And I think Sworn, more than just about any other game, has really helped me in that regard of just being able to recognize situations that I'm in faster. So there's definitely going to be another game or two in my future that has this kind of a feel to it, where I don't know if they're going to have as many of the chambers that have just random enemies, or like the roguelite system of upgrades. But games with very, very similar feeling gameplay, definitely more open to now than I used to be. But that brings us to the modern day. That brings us to right now. That brings us to Shy Guy. That was the year that was. As far as moving forward is concerned, I can't really make too many promises about doing more streams or doing lots and lots of different stuff. For the past couple of years, it's really just been do it when I feel like doing it and stream whatever I want. I definitely would like to get back into Hellpoint sometime soon. There's going to be more streams of Sworn. I still have more stuff to do in Vampire Survivors. I would really like to get back into doing more randomizers. I don't know if that just means I need to specifically pick one of my days off and say, okay, I'm doing a randomizer on this day. And maybe I have Super Bomberman 2 CPU matches to figure out which game I would play. Because I do actually still have my layout for Super Bomberman 2. I haven't used it since I was playing through Disaster Report 4, as you can see from the text on screen. So it might mean that I need to get back to doing this to figure out randomizers to play. But since I have more than 4 randomizers to play, I think I would need to maybe come up with a secondary list for the hat. And just draw 4 names from the hat. And that would decide which games and which randomizers that the Bombermen would be fighting for. But yeah, I might actually... When it comes time for me to play through the Pixel Remaster for Final Fantasy VI, I might actually do that one on stream. Just because I am comfortable enough with it. We're in now. Dude, there is only one movie that had enough comedic genius to actually do that. What happened to then? We passed it. When? Just now? How long until then becomes now? Soon. Bet we can build a currency system with your bot that we can use to bet on CPU matches? Oh, I'm pretty sure that's already in place. Or is that another thing that I haven't reinstated yet? That's something I used to have. I know that much. So it wouldn't be that hard to get that back up and running. Yeah, because Spazer Crab knows how to do betting. It's just something that I have to... It's something that I have to set up. Like, anytime I want to do the betting. But that is something that Spazer Crab is able to do. Always had the dream to do a casino stream, but Sheila died when I did my Windows 11 upgrade. Oh no! Next Sheila will actually have AI. Oh man. Oh, my phone is dead. I never actually plugged it in at the beginning of the stream. That's right. Well, anyways, that is probably a good time for me to find a layout that has a "we did it! We made it through another year." So I think the thing that I need to do if I want to continue on with the randomizer playthroughs is I need to just keep using the Abyssonim randomizers that I already have. There are new randomizers for like Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, but unless I do like a window capture version of a stream where I'm just like going through and messing with each and every little thing, I'm never going to understand how to use those randomizers. Excuse me. And I mean, with all the randomizers that I currently have access to, a lot of times it's figuring out a good stopping point. Like if it's a Chrono Trigger randomizer, you know, just go up through Magus's castle, or go up through the Kingdom of Zeal, like I do in the Magic Tab runs. I don't know if I'm ever going to get into Final Fantasy IV randomizers. I'm just not familiar enough with that game yet. No real need for a stopping point when it comes to like some of the ancient cave randomizers, like Secret of Mana or Earthbound. I just need to play them more frequently. But yeah, I think that is gonna be a good place and a good time to say thanks for stopping by, thanks for hanging out, thanks for watching. I look forward to another year playing Super Metroid for 50 plus weeks out of the year. Should be a lot of fun. But yeah, I hope everybody has a happy and safe New Year's Eve tomorrow. And I will see you next year. Have a good night, man. See ya!